Hello and welcome to the Car Nerd Talks, where today I'm going to be talking to you about something very special indeed, and I am of course talking about the BMW M1 from 1978, which has a very interesting background as to why it was built. It was also one of only two mid-engined BMWs ever created, the second being the BMW i8, and it looks like they're going to be the only two for a long time, since, I don't know if you've checked recently, but the Vision M Next by BMW has been axed due to the coronavirus pandemic. So as always, don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you for watching, and let's get straight into it. In the mid-1970s, Jochen Neerpasch, who was BMW's head of Motorsport, wanted them to compete with Porsche in a big way. And he knew the only way to do this was to create an all-new type of BMW that could compete with Porsche's rear-engine design. And the only way to achieve this and better was to create something mid-engine. Unfortunately, BMW didn't have a mid-engine car in its lineup, so they'd have to create something from scratch and create the 400 of them needed to be a production car which was viable for entry. So Neerpasch knew that he wasn't going to be able to produce 400 of these supercars, along with designing an all-new chassis and space frame body for the car. And this is where things got a little bit more interesting, and he decided to contract it out to, of all people, Lamborghini. Lamborghini went about designing the new chassis and also designing the space frame. And this is where we enter a man called Daiari. Now, Daiari had designed a lot of cars before for Lamborghini, including the Miura, and he also worked on various Ferraris over the years. So this was a guy that was very, very set out to do this. So all was going well. They had their chassis built, they had their space frame new design, which looked incredible, as I'll move on to in a bit, and they were ready to go. However, things went wrong. In 1978, Lamborghini took a turn financially, and unfortunately this led to the contract being cancelled. With that contract being cancelled, BMW decided to bring everything in-house, and was the first car that the BMW M Sport division ever worked on in its entirety. Now, with that contract being gone for Lamborghini, unfortunately Lamborghini did go bankrupt. But as you know today, not all went bad for them, as the Merman brothers decided to take over the company, and thus we had the Countach and the LM002, which led on to be the Urus. Now, in terms of an interesting fact, so a group of former Lamborghini engineers decided to move to a factory 10 miles down the road, call it Ital Engineering, and ended up working on the car. So they ended up completing the entire build for BMW and are still a company today, as far as I'm aware. So if you're ever looking at the BMW M1 and thinking, this looks a little bit like a Lamborghini, now you know why. So now all BMW needed was an engine to fit into the new fiberglass space frame and on the monocoque chassis which Lamborghini had given them. And they picked one hell of an engine. They picked a 3.5 litre flat six to mount in the mid of this car. It was a 270 horsepower, 242 pound-feet torque of engine, which got the car up to an incredible 162 miles an hour. It also allowed them to outperform any Porsche on the road, especially with the light design that the Lamborghini engineers had come up with. And now they were able to put together a full racing car. And those guys from Ital Engineering went about building out the rest of the car and producing the 400 of them needed between them and BMW. So in terms of the final result of everything, the car was incredible, the design was amazing, and they were ready to go racing. Unfortunately, it didn't have the huge impact on racing that they were hoping. Between 1981 and 1986, it completed a lot of Le Mans with favourable positions, but never came first or second or third, just ran the race quite well. It did, however, do very well in the Pro Car BMW M1 competition, This was a competition set up to allow BMW to run in some of the Group B championships around the world, and it had some great success between 1981 and 1986. So it turns out this wasn't the racing pedigree vehicle that Jack and Nearpatch had kind of wanted from the start. What it was, however, was an incredible marketing opportunity for BMW, who eventually got the entire ball rolling with it. The car was finished off after 1981, and they didn't produce any more of them, but they did inspire a lot of drawings over the years, which eventually led to that beautiful and kind of spookily futuristic BMW i8. So that's our story for today. Thank you so much for watching the Car Nerd Talks. Don't forget to like and subscribe, I'd really appreciate it. And don't forget to check me out on drivetribe.com, where you can read the full in-depth article about what I've just spoken about. You might be watching it on drivetribe.com now, isn't that weird? Thank you so much again, and see you tomorrow.